one. She's wonderful.
Introduction that I can manage. Hey, listen, wouldn't it be good to learn how correct language is essential for using in any trans topic? Wouldn't that be something pretty cool to learn? I think so too. Christina is the person to bring it to you. So Christina's a master trainer of NLP, trainer of hypnosis and timeline therapy, and she trains all over the world. And she's transformed thousands of lives with her work, helping people to become more empowered in their lives. And she's very specifically interested in working, especially with women, to help them to be self-confident and rekindle their relationships, and also to work with children, which I think is the window to our future. If they come up knowing all the stuff that we know and they think that that's normal, then that's because it is, and we can have it all as normal. So definitely the work with children is super important. It's one of the top priorities for me, the work that I do too. So great work to you, Christina, for doing that. She loves exploring new places with her kids when she's not doing that, and reading science fiction books. A favorite, apparently, favorite series being June. So I hope you enjoyed the film. My friend got the Oscar for making June just recently, so I'm very happy for my friend Joe there. What's more to be said? Christina, I really hope that your tile has appeared because I'm going to hand over to you just now. Christina Moise. Everyone welcome Christina Moise. Oh, there you are. Hey. Over to you, Christina. Let's go.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. And thank you, Mark. And welcome, everyone. I'm Christina Moise. And it's so good to see so many familiar faces. Good to see you again, Imke, Coach B, Candace, Arthur, Nagita, Cells. So good to see everyone, and Andrew, Denise. It's an exciting conference with lots of things to learn. And as Mark said, I'm going to be talking about why the correct language is essential with any trans topic. And before I start, as I was preparing for this reminded me of how I was preparing actually for my graduation many years ago, graduation from the university studies, and somehow I ended up doing my thesis on the use of language in advertising, and it was in French. And back then I had just discovered language presuppositions for the first time, and how how much we actually say when we communicate. There's so much more, and it was just fascinating to me. I was like, how can you say something, use certain words, but mean something else? And my mind was just puzzled at that idea. And for me, it felt like being a breakthrough discovery. But back then, I was in my early 20s, and I'm sure many would relate to this. I was in love, and the best I could do, because the books I was reading on that topic were absolutely extraordinary. I was just fascinated with what I found out. And the best I could do back then was just to copy paste a lot of that material, because honestly, it was too good, and I didn't think I could have written it any better. Hoping my teacher would not notice that, but she did. And when she did, she actually had a conversation with me, and she said something that really stayed with me. And 1 year later, because I was so intrigued.
Christina, we can't see you.
Because I was so intrigued. Yes?
We can't see you. We can only see Mark's face.
Christina, this is Bogdan here. Your bandwidth is very low. Your bandwidth is very low. That's probably why there is no video.
I see my video being on. You can hear me well, but you cannot see me?
Yes, that's correct.
Can you see me now?
Nope. Absolutely.
Can you see me now?
Nope. No. So what it says here is Christina Moise's network bandwidth is low. So is your internet not doing that well, I think?
Yeah, so I just switched over to a different internet, and hopefully I'll be up on the screen soon. Can you?
We can see your name now. We can see your name, but we still can't see your face.
Okay, good. Thanks for letting me know. So in just a second, you'll be able to see my face as well. Okay. So, meanwhile, as I was saying, I continued my studies. So I went on and I did a master's in linguistics because I was intrigued and I wanted to learn more about language. And I delved deeper into the topic, and it was so exciting and so interesting. And the teachers I had back then, they were just fabulous. And I knew I wanted to do further research on that one. And at that point in time where I was in my life, I simply could not see how I could take this work forwards. And then okay, I'm just waiting for the other internet. Yes, there it is. I'm just switching to a different. Now, can you see me now and hear me well?
Mhm.
Excellent. Thank you for letting me know and for your feedback.
Perfect. Thank you, Christina.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Anyways, so I did the study and no idea what to do with linguistics. I loved it, but as life would have it, I moved on my life and I started my career in business consulting. And I had no idea that words have real power. And I was doing a business consulting project with each company. And the project was about recovering some of the underpaying the supplier. It was a pretty good project in terms of ROI, the business case. And I thought, like, this should be easy peasy. Everybody should be on board. Working with a French company as you would have it, all I could hear from the client was, instead of having full support, all I could hear was, ce n'est pas possible. And I was in a situation when I was stuck. And at that point, I remember there was this meeting, and I was there in the meeting with the client and my colleague. He was from the sales team. He was there as well, and he listened to everything that was going on. And at some point, he started speaking and using words in a way that I was not expecting. And it was like an epiphany I had. And that reminds me of 2017 when I actually took all my NLP trainings. I did practitioner, master practitioner. I was in August in the trainer's training. And when I first set foot in the NLP training, and then in the first day, what you learn is the NLP, the linguistic presuppositions. And I had no idea I would come across those again and study those again. But again, there are no coincidences in life. And I got so motivated about learning language and more about the subtleties of language. And I remember in the trainer training, when you get there, it was day 2 or day 3, one of the exercises was literally to speak in Milton model patterns for 15 minutes without any preparation. And I was like, whoa, no way. I mean, I wish I had learned them by heart because there's no way I could remember all the 19 patterns. And there I was, my neurons were like, until it was my turn to present, I was like hyperventilating, thinking, what am I gonna say? And the other week, I was with my husband at the mall. And amongst other things, he wanted to buy a pair of shoelaces. And it was just a regular day at the mall, nothing extraordinary. And I said I would wait for him outside. Now he's 10 in, 15 in, 20 minutes in, and I was like, Jesus, is he buying a pair of shoelaces? Why is it taking him so long? And then eventually he comes out with a pair of shoelaces, and I kid you not, he comes out with a big smile on his face, and he's waving those shoelaces at me and saying, these beauties. So who here would like to be a master of language so that you can induce trance easily and effortlessly? Now, would you like to know exactly what to say, how to say it, and when to say it to your clients or yourself so that they or you can achieve, if you're doing self-hypnosis, deep levels of trance and create the profound change you're looking for? Or would it be valuable for you to never be at loss for words and always know with precision what kind of words to use so that they create the biggest impact for you, for your clients, and for everyone listening to you? Now, the words we use, their order, the sequence, what they imply, the infinite possibilities they can allude to, can create shifts and changes that might seem like magical. They can change someone's face from being stuck in a situation into converting to options, actions that they somehow never thought existed before. And yet, this is the power of language in hypnosis. To assist someone being fully focused on what seems to be the problem, into being someone who realizes they have been only walking the narrow road of a single solution, a solution that they were suddenly fixated on, but which didn't work, just because their eyes have not been mesmerized yet by the infinite amount of choices and possibilities around them and inside of them equally. But being oblivious to this amount of internal resources often stems from them being solely focused, or if you want, being hypnotized by the looks, the sounds, and the feel of their own problem, that they often forget or simply cannot find ways to look at what lies beyond the realm of the problem. Be it smoking or with overweight, lack of confidence, or even when they're not making enough profit in business. People tend to overlook the fields of possibilities that are around them, simply because they have fallen into a complete fascination with what their own problem and situation is. Fascination that is often reflected by the continuous, the monotonous repetition of words they use to describe the problem, and not knowing how to break that spell. So the power of words in hypnosis goes beyond just using words to soothe a person's ailment, or sorrow from being in a terrible situation, because the words we use in hypnosis have a specific purpose and intention to start painting new avenues, new possibilities in the client's own world, having them expand their awareness and delve rather into the fascination of their own imagination with limitless possibilities. Words in hypnosis can literally open doors to a new life, a new way of being, a solution or an opportunity that seemed to have never existed before. The ideal weight, or having a loving relationship, or having or making more money. People think that words are just words, and that everyone has their natural way of speaking because they were born like that, or they were educated this way, which is true. However, the way you use words in hypnosis can make a difference between a client having just another relaxing experience with hypnosis versus someone who has a deep trance experience where they not only get to relax, but also become more aware of themselves, the problem they want to solve, or the situation they are in, and access, by doing so, new levels of consciousness. Because hypnosis, as it is a direct doorway to someone's unconscious mind, can be one of the most powerful and transformative experiences which can assist yourself or someone in their own personal evolution and growth. Now, hypnosis has been around since people have been around on planet Earth. And in the ancient Egyptian or Indian temples, as you may know, or even further back in Sumer and Babylon, there were priests and priestesses sitting on top platforms in the pyramids, in the healing temples, and they had a certain way of speaking that would have people who are participating in those ceremonies change their behavior, heal, or have new realizations. They were saying something along the lines, your unconscious mind is here and can hear everything so that you can heal easily and effortlessly. Or your unconscious mind is guiding you at all times. Your unconscious mind is always with you. And your unconscious mind can make changes such that you can create anything you want. So maybe not the exact words, but they were saying something along those lines. And they knew the power of words in helping people change. And most importantly, they knew that in the process of trance, the precise selection and use of words was extremely important. Because when inducing trance, they were not addressing people's conscious minds, but rather people's unconscious minds. And this is a very important element, because all change, all behavior, and all learning happens, as you know already, at the unconscious mind level. Then the conscious mind becomes aware of it, and it's not the other way around. Like, have you ever tried changing or installing a new habit, like going to the gym, or stop smoking, and said to yourself one day bravely, tomorrow I will hit the gym and build a perfect body, or I will work harder in my business to increase profits, or tomorrow onwards I make a sacred vow to communicate better with my spouse, only to find the initial enthusiasm completely disappearing a few days or weeks later, because maybe you realized it was too hard or too complicated and you did not see the immediate results you were expecting. So therefore, remember, for hypnosis to work and to be effective in producing results, you need to use a language that addresses the client's own unconscious mind, their unconscious mind, or if you're doing self-hypnosis, addressing your own unconscious mind. So going back to this, the precision of words throughout all the stages of hypnosis, be it before trance, during trance induction, and while giving suggestions to your clients, is absolutely essential. So let's talk about the ways language can be important even before the formal trance induction, in a phase that we usually call the interview. And this is, if you want, the most critical part of the hypnotherapy session, where you, as a hypnotherapist, want to understand the client's problem and the change they really want. What are the words they use to explain their problem, and what would they want instead of having that? Because there's no other way for you as a hypnotherapist, or even if you're doing self-hypnosis, there is no way to know exactly what the problem is unless the client explains it to you, how they do the problem, when they do the problem. And also understand, have them explain clearly in their words, what is the change they're looking for. Understanding this will serve you, knowing exactly what type of trance induction will be most effective for your client, like if it's permissive or authoritarian, and also what kind of suggestions to give to your client's unconscious mind. Suggestions that, through the precise use of words, will be like seeds planted in your client's unconscious mind, seeds of potentiality that with every day and in every way will grow into new behaviors and ultimately blossom into the change they wanted in the first place, like having a healthy body, or having a loving relationship, or being confident, making profit in business, or simply enjoying life more. And the words that people use to describe their problems are unique to every person. Now, hypnosis might seem like this magical, mystical experience where the hypnotherapist is magically using their words to put the subject into deep sleep and have them do whatever they want. But this is just a big misconception about hypnosis, because hypnosis, just like any other techniques in NLP or timeline therapy, they are not power over someone, but rather how can you as a hypnotherapist cooperate with your clients and facilitate the change in their consciousness. Because hypnosis is not about how you as a hypnotherapist would like the client to change or what you think would be the perfect solution for them, but rather what the client wants and what they imagine to be true for them. Be it letting go of stress or increasing performance, or in finding the right partner, or losing weight and be fit, or even to have a thriving business. Because as you know, the applications of hypnosis are limitless, and language is essential in any trance phenomena because it is the means through which you, as a hypnotherapist, you address your clients' unconscious minds, And this is where the change happens. So let's see, what kind of words would you use to address your client's unconscious mind? Or if you're doing self-hypnosis, your own. So during the interview phase, it's also important that you listen carefully to your client's motivation. What is the incentive for them to make change? Do they want the change for themselves or for others? Do they want to change, or do other people in their lives want them to change? Because if the client says, I'm to stop smoking because the doctor said so, or because my partner wants me to do it, with an underlying assumption that they are at the effect of the other people wanting something from them or wanting them to do something, this is a sign for you as a hypnotherapist. They are not seeing you out of their own volition. And whatever the behavior is, they might not have sufficient motivation to change it. And they might choose to simply hold on to it unconsciously. So in this case, you need to explain to your clients that hypnosis will work only if they want the outcome for themselves. And unless they allow it to happen, it will simply not happen. And the client always has a choice, and only they can make it happen. Because when they believe they can change, and they expect the change with 100% conviction, then their success is assured. Now, remember, a client is a client because they're out of rapport with their own unconscious mind, like Erickson said. So the purpose of hypnosis is to have them get back into rapport with themselves, between their own conscious and unconscious mind. And you, as a hypnotherapist, you are the facilitator, the tour guide, because ultimately, like so many hypnotherapists said, and Emile Coué especially, he said that the client will change on their own ultimately. And also he said something else which is very interesting, that every single one of our thoughts, good or bad, becomes concrete. It materializes and becomes, in short, reality. So before even putting the client into a trance, you may want to discover how the client is holding their problem in their neurology. And the way they do that is to really listen to them, how they describe their own problem. What are the keywords they use? What are the beliefs they hold about themselves or others? What do they value in that particular area of life? And also, what is the outcome they want? Like, how will your life be when you stop smoking? What do you imagine, and what do they want to happen then? Or what would it feel like when they have the body they always dreamt of? Being able to wear all the clothes they always wanted and look great no matter what put on. Because the client will know always why they want what they want. The motivation is the engine. It's what makes the client to make that change. And when the client is making those changes, they are driven by their values, which are, if you want, the strongest and the most influential element for the success of the induction. And no two people with apparently the same problem, like let's say they both want to be more confident, or even if there are no two people who want to have an ideal weight, they will not do their problems in the exact way, because no two persons are the same. And also their motivation for changing that will be completely different. Now, oftentimes people think they know what their problems are, But when further asking questions to understand the real problem, something else will pop up at the surface as the real problem. Now, people do not do this on purpose, thinking and saying this is their problem, while the actual problem is a completely different one. It is something normal, so to say, because people are not aware of the full magnitude of their problems. Because most of the time it is hidden deep at the unconscious mind level. And that means it's out of their awareness. And remember, just like Bruce Lipton said in his book, Biology of Belief, more than 80% of our behaviors are unconscious. In fact, the client, had they known what the real problem was, they wouldn't come to see you anyway, as they wouldn't have that problem. And this is where NLP comes handy, because one may use metamodel questions and other tools to elicit the client's values, their beliefs around the change they want. Like, for example, this client who came for hypnosis because she was feeling overwhelmed by her emotions at work. And how she believed that her emotions were preventing her from standing up for herself, asking things or negotiating for herself, like the promotion she always wanted at work. And she was taking on new responsibilities all the time without ever saying no, believing that by doing so people would notice and give her that promotion. Now, after discussing with her during the interview phase, understanding what the real problem was, the conclusion was that somehow it was related to her unconsciously choosing to become an introvert and isolate herself from her family as a child, not speaking up or standing up for herself, but rather keeping quiet about her needs and desires, because this is what made her feel safe and protected. In the family circumstances back then, when she had a younger brother, as she was only 3 years old, and she no longer felt she was in the center of attention. And for her, it was the best possible choice at that point in time. Remember the NLP presupposition that everybody does what they can with the resources they have available in the moment. But this doesn't mean they have to stay and accept that belief without ever changing it, and realize that it's okay to stand up and speak for yourself. Ask for things, ask for help, ask for a promotion without any fear of consequences. And the interesting thing that people carry with them such unresolved patterns from the past, especially from when they were a child, when people are just little unconscious minds roaming around. Because remember, until the age of 6, children only have access to their unconscious mind. The prefrontal cortex develops later on, after the age of 7. So they carry those unresolved patterns with them their entire life, with words attached, describing them, unaware of what else is possible. And those patterns, they define and influence their behavior, and they run the show, literally, in all areas of their life. Could be in their career, in their relationship, their health, until they decide to change that at the unconscious mind level. Or this client who thought she had a weight problem because of her eating habits and exercise routine, when in fact the real problem was that she was putting on weight because literally she was taking on the responsibilities of other people in her life, taking on that what seemed metaphorical weight, the weight of the responsibilities of the other people. So she was doing the chores in the house all by herself, taking care of the kids all by herself, everything doing all by herself without asking for help from her husband, her family, her friends. So listening to the client's exact words they use in describing the problem is key first in uncovering the real problem. Not just the simple blah that they give you or that often pops up at the surface and that people carry around thinking they understand what their problem is. And also remember that the unconscious mind is that 6-year-old child, and the language clients would use to describe their problem is often very simple, very direct. It's to the point and quite literal. Like the client I just mentioned, taking on the metaphorical weight from the other people and actualizing what she perceived as a weight and putting it on herself, literally. Now you may wonder, why does the unconscious mind do that? And it's not that the unconscious is that, thing that wants you to tell you off or put you down. In fact, it reflects back at you patterns of thinking and behavior that are not in alignment with what you want. And the purpose for doing so is because it wants you to learn something. Now, remember from NLP, our filters, they always delete, distort, and generalize the information. So therefore, the problem is often the result of misinterpretation, leaving out information, and generalizing what we perceive in our reality. Therefore, in any hypnosis induction, be it if you work for smoking, increasing performance, growing or scaling your business in health and fitness, the interview before the induction itself is very important. Our unconscious mind is always eavesdropping at what we say to ourselves. As Deepak Chopra said in his book Quantum Healing in 1986, and even more than that, it takes it all as directions and instructions and suggestions, and it makes it happen literally, provided we wholeheartedly believe those thoughts, whether they are about what we want or about what we don't want. So the way we evaluate our actions or other people's actions, the words we say to ourselves, be it words of encouragement or not, be it words of kindness and love or not, or words like I can do it or not, words like anything is possible, it all becomes a suggestion for the unconscious mind. And the unconscious mind's unique role is to actualize it, to make all of that happen, because you said so. Because whatever you say to yourself is a suggestion to your own unconscious mind. So therefore, may I suggest that you become more aware as well during the day about your thoughts. What's your inner dialogue? What are the thoughts you're thinking? What are the words you're saying to yourself? Are they about what you want precisely or not? And if they're not, that's fine. You can at any point in time have that clarity and get that clarity about what you want. Because your unconscious mind will take whatever you present to it and make it happen. And this is how powerful your unconscious mind actually is. It makes it all possible for you. Now, all you have to do is say it the way you want it. And have your clients therefore say it the way they wanted, and use those words as suggestions during the process of trance induction. Now, suggestions that the unconscious will later actualize for the client, and thus ensure the success of your hypnosis process. Therefore, during hypnosis, it's important to bring this to the awareness of your clients and have them become aware of what stories are they saying to themselves. Are they telling themselves stories about all the things they cannot do? What prevents them from having a happy, fulfilling life? Or are they telling themselves stories and giving suggestions about how they can become better at what they do every single day? How increasing performance is something that can be achieved by just giving specific instructions to the unconscious mind about that. Because the unconscious mind takes everything in without discrimination. It makes no distinction. It just makes everything happen for you. Exactly as you say it in your own words. It just follows your instructions. Or the hypnotherapist's instructions. Therefore, it's essential to make those words and suggestions about what the client wants and not about what they don't want. And frame it in a way that assists the client's own imagination create new internal representations in their mind, like new pictures about a future they are creating, first in their own imagination, painting this new future they have never thought would be possible before, with new images, vibrant colors, and sounds and feelings, and have them imagine what life would be like, or sound like, and feel like, once they have exactly what they want. So during this interview phase, paying attention to the client's words pays off, because you will use those words as suggestions for them during the trance induction. Also, their words will tell you what their primary learning channel is. For example, if you have a client that is predominantly kinesthetic, they might say, imagine walking by the beach and feeling the sand beneath your feet, the warmth of the sun caressing your shoulders and your back. For a person who is predominantly auditory, throughout the entire induction, you would be using auditory predicates like, for example, listen to the waves, playing the gentle tune of the ocean, and the wind whispering in your ears all the ways in which you have changed. Or for a person who is more visual, see yourself walking by the beach, the golden sand under your feet, the blue-green water stretching as far as the eyes can see, under a clear, beautiful blue sky. So remember, imagination is very important. And the images that you depict for your client can predict the real outcome they will get. When the client vividly imagines themselves reaching their goal, improving their life, this actually activates certain brain functions like the reticular activating system that will cause those changes and those new situations to become a reality for your client. So therefore, listening to your client and noting down their words exactly to use them later during hypnosis is the key to success, to your client's success and yours too as a hypnotherapist, because your client, by the way, already has all the answers inside of them, but they are unaware of those possibilities and those solutions. And yet, when you ask them, they will tell you exactly all you need to know to help them get their outcomes. And speaking about suggestions, they are at the very heart of hypnosis, and they represent a statement, a belief, or a recommendation for an action that is accepted by the unconscious mind, like mentioned earlier. The language we use when giving suggestions to our clients need to be focused on what the client wants, using the client's words. And also make sure you're direct and to the point. Like, let's say the client wants to be an excellent English speaker, and they're at the point where they say to themselves, I want to start learning English. Well, if you give the instruction to the unconscious mind to want to start learning English, this is a pretty convoluted suggestion where the unconscious has to take a long detour before getting to the real destination, which is being an excellent English speaker. The unconscious mind will have to want first, and then it will have to do the job of starting, and then it will have to do the job of, learning English. And by the way, nowhere in this sentence does it say anything about being an excellent English speaker. So be mindful of the way you formulate suggestions and clarify the goals with your clients up front, and be more effective with your induction. Now, there are several things to bear in mind when it comes to how we use words to frame suggestions so that they serve Okay, good. Excellent. So what are the words you use in hypnosis so that they serve exactly the purpose and what the client is looking for? So, so that the suggestions and the words we use persuade or seduce, if you want, the unconscious mind to produce the change. And the unconscious, as I said, is quite literal and will actualize literally everything you're telling it to do. It's like a 6-year-old child. If their mother tells them, don't eat all that candy, and you know exactly what the child would do, which is precisely eating all the candy. And the child is not getting why mom is upset and why she's not happy with the child eating all that candy. Since she said it, eat all that candy. The unconscious will always actualize what you suggest to it. And in this case, the suggestion was eat all that candy. And you're wondering maybe how? And it's a good thing to wonder, but just think of it. When you hear what the mother said, don't eat all that candy, what do you see in your mind's eye? What do you hear or feel in your mind's eye? And I bet it's nothing but a lot of candy. So it was very similar for the child too. So the child was suggested to actually focus on the candy. And the mother who's doing that is completely unaware. I mean, I've done that so many times before learning NLP, giving the wrong suggestions to my kids. So this is why the wrong you use need to suggest exactly what the client wants, not what they don't want. And there is a major difference. And just think of it, if the mother said instead, eat your fruits, what do you think the child's minds would have been focused on? What new pictures, sounds, and feelings would have popped up on the screen of their minds? Again, with our words as hypnotherapists, or even when doing self-hypnosis, we direct the client's awareness and focus. We have them create pictures in their minds with sounds, feelings, and self-talk. And the power of your words is such that they will not simply describe a reality the client wishes for themselves, but in fact, the words you use in hypnosis, just like in NLP, they actually determine the new reality the client will be creating for themselves. And therefore, the correct use of language here is paramount, because it is one thing to tell the client, don't feel overwhelmed or stressed with the amount of tasks you have to perform at work. And just notice what happens in your body as I say that. And compare that with you're feeling confident and feeling more and more satisfied as you find it easy to complete the tasks which are truly important for you. And it's easy to know which ones are important because when you know, you know. So in order for people to get what they want, you need to instruct or give suggestions to the unconscious mind describing precisely the outcome the client is looking for, not the opposite, not quite the outcome, not vaguely hinting at it, but the exact outcome, using a language that is well understood by the client's unconscious mind. And the interesting thing here is that the client already knows what the solution is about their problem. What is the outcome? But the mind becomes so fixated, even obsessed with how they're not having what they want, and they do not spend time contemplating or thinking about what they want. So coming back to the importance of language and using a positive language to assist your client, just notice how the suggestion, you will not be anxious and not become nervous when you will be doing your presentation on stage. It's quite different than you will feel totally confident, relaxed, charismatic, and at ease while you are delivering your excellent presentation in front of an audience who enjoys listening to every word you say. So use a language that focuses solely on the positive outcome the client is looking for. Also, your language as a hypnotherapist, or if you're doing self-hypnosis, needs to be specific. As A.M. Krasner points out in his book, The Wizard Within. So choose words that clearly depict what the client wants in vivid images, with sounds that are appealing, and that the client need to imagine. And these words need to evoke an emotion, which could be an emotion of excitement or fulfillment, accomplishment, or simply happy that the client got their outcome. So with these words, you will be helping them paint a clear picture in their mind of what they want. And in order for the picture to be complete, you must direct the visuals, the auditory, and the kinesthetic. As you would learn, this is the basics that you would learn in any NLP training. And if you say to someone, you're an excellent salesperson, that might not be sufficiently specific. Therefore, you may choose to reframe it as in, you enjoy speaking with people. And notice how confident you are as you gracefully introduce all the wonderful ways in which you can help them find a loving partner, not just the right match for them, but their soulmate. And you're fully convinced that you're the best couple hypnotherapist in the world. You speak with poise and confidence about your offers. You are enthusiastic with every client who says yes. And the more clients say yes, the more clients say yes. And you're excited to see yourself fully booked for years to come. Also, the suggestions you give to your client must be realistic, however, appealing enough for the client to act as an incentive. Now, in your language for suggestions, you can use specific measures for the outcome they want to have, such as the desired weight they want to have, or the profit they want to make in business. Because yes, you can use hypnosis in business. The results they want to get at a test, maybe. And it will be extremely helpful for the unconscious to know exactly what to go after. It's like setting the destination on a GPS so that you can be guided on the best route to get there. At the same time, agree with your clients on the outcomes that are achievable within the time frame they want. Because if they are unrealistic, the unconscious might perceive them as overly dramatic and cause the unconscious to simply not go after that at all, since it may be perceived like an impossible mission. And here again, the question of alignment between conscious and the unconscious mind becomes really important. Because whatever the client wants or desires at the conscious mind level has to be 100% supported by a set of beliefs and values at the unconscious mind level. So in other words, the client has to be 100% convinced and certain that they will get what they want. Otherwise, the client might end up being in conflict with themselves. Also, when giving suggestions, you may be repetitive with your words. And the more you repeat words, and the more words are repeated, the more they become accepted by the client's unconscious mind. When it comes to the correct use of language for hypnosis, the suggestions need to be framed also at the present tense, or it could even be the past tense, as if the client has already accomplished having the ideal weight they're looking for, as if they already are in the loving relationship, as if they already are an excellent presenter on stage, as if they already are in the ideal career or business they always wanted, having all the success they always wanted. And this is important because our unconscious mind, once you frame the suggestion this way, will take action and will make it happen immediately. Again, the unconscious mind is just a child, 6 years or less. And I remember my son when he was 3 or 4 years old. Whatever I suggested to him, like tomorrow we will go to this place, or next week we will do this other thing and go to this place. And every single time I mentioned this to him, his immediate question, so we're going now? I said, no, it's next week, so we're going now. But this is how he was perceiving. Everything happens in the now for them. And this is important to understand and to keep in mind as you're giving suggestions. Now, I believe that the better you understand how your client operates, the better you will be able to serve them. And funny enough, yesterday, as I was teaching values during a master practitioner training that I'm teaching these days, I was teaching, and I think Ewan mentioned this as well, the evolution of values through consciousness. And this is when something really important hit me, and how important language is actually in hypnosis, and how values levels can play an important role in hypnosis. And you may be familiar with the topic from the NLP trainings, and also with the fabulous work and research of Claire Graves and Dr. Adriana James. And as Claire Graves started this work and his research, she was actually looking for the ultimate level of maturity in the consciousness that humans can achieve during their lifetime, only to find that such a level does not exist. And he says it's simply that as one solves one set of human problems, he finds a new set in their place. And this quest is never ending. And he also describes the levels from 1 to 8. Now, yesterday, as I was doing the training, one of the students, she had her values elicited during the training. And her values in the context of career. And one of her values, she said it was salary was important for her. Not money, not profit, but salary. Now, from a values level perspective, and going back to the accuracy of language in hypnosis, this is a very important topic. First, because values are the most unconscious filters. So the more we use the exact client's values, the more effective it would be. Plus, being aware of what values level thinking the client operates will give you and the hypnotherapist a more artistic touch, if you want, more precision with the induction, addressing the exact life concerns and values which are appropriate for each values level. Like in yesterday's exercise with this student, now her value was salary, and also her thinking was stationed predominantly at what Claire Graves defines as values level 4. Now, someone who in their career, they work as an employee in a company, and they would be getting a salary. And even if the hypnotherapist is, let's say, a business entrepreneur, which is all about, a different set of values, and that would be values level 5 at Graves and put it, and Adriana. It would make no sense to give suggestions to them about profit or even money. Their neurology and possibility of comprehension is not geared in that direction, is not open yet to that thing. So the same would be with any other values level. If you have someone, who wants to, who is all into saving the planet, and what they would love to hear is how great it feels to belong with like-minded people and be loved and accepted as they are. versus someone who is a hardcore entrepreneur focusing on their business, who would resonate more to hearing how easily it is to get results in a win-win way with their partners and their clients, and how amazing they are at bringing efficiency and simplification in every way and every day, and how they can rely on the power of their minds to have ideas in every day and every way to increase profits. So to summarize, when it comes to the use of correct language in hypnosis, I have mentioned about the importance of the interview stage. Get the words the client uses when explaining their current situation, the desired outcome, and use all of that as suggestions, all weaved in and put together into a beautiful story that will have the 6-year-old child, the unconscious mind, fully mesmerized and transported into this new reality that the client wants for themselves, as you, as a hypnotherapist, are artfully guiding them with every word you say. Now, my husband comes out of the store and he says, "These beauties." And I was like, "It's just a pair of shoelaces." And he says, "Nope. These beauties can make me do anything. Anything is possible for me. I'll be able to do whatever I want because these beauties." And actually, the salesperson, when she sold the shoelaces, she had given him this amazing sales pitch. And this is when it hit me, how words and suggestions can turn the most mundane experience into the most magnificent one. And there I was at the NLP training giving my Milton Mall presentation exercise, and I could not find my words. But then once it was done, I realized once you allow it, once you allow them to come out, words will come out easily and effortlessly. And during that meeting, when the salesperson started speaking, and the way he used words so magically, he was like a magician with words, and he was painting new pictures, like all of a sudden, the whole project turned around like 360 degrees, and everything went on just fine. Because words can create, can shift the reality more than you ever know. And as I was doing my master's in linguistics, I had no idea how could I use this later on. But then I said something to myself that stayed with me throughout my career in business. It's like, all comes in good time. And my teacher, when she saw my thesis, she said something that stayed with me. And she said, words matter, and you have a lifetime to explore them and to create life with your own words exactly the way you want it. Thank you so much for listening. I apologize for all the technical and Wi-Fi, and I hope that was useful for you. Do you have any questions or anything you would like to learn?
I'll just say questions will have to be quite brief for time purposes.
Yeah. Words are a really great way of creating your experience. Now, thank you so much for listening in. And if there are no questions, I'll stick around for the break. If there are no questions, then I guess, Mark, we can go ahead with the break. And I'll stick around if people want to chat. And by the way, for those of you who are having a problem but don't know exactly what the problem is, I'm giving there is a bonus I'm offering, which is a 30-minute session with me, and I'll be helping you discovering and uncovering what the real problem is and giving you a short induction to help you fast track in solving that problem.
Good. Lovely. So if people have any questions still, and thank you for that, Christina, please, put them in the chat, and Christina will do her best to answer those questions. As you may have noticed, my reality has changed. I've transported myself across the city to
With every word you say, Mark.
And I'm going to be good to go for my own master practitioner training. Today's board breaking day. So it's a hell of a day in front of myself. I haven't slept. It's going to be a great hypnotic day. It always is when I don't sleep. I love it. So we're going to take a slightly shortened break because I want to keep on time. Okay, so the next one's going to start on the hour, so slightly shorter than 15-minute break. And I will see you back in just a short while. So quick time to go and find your coffee and have a comfy break.